Advanced Studio Classroom is on the air. It's time for Advanced, your window on the world. And today we're going to find out if we are having fun or not. So stay tuned. Yes, here we are in our advanced program today. And are we having fun yet?
I think so.
Yes,
Well,
of course.
Usually do, especially with the people who are our panelists today. But this is the new year, the year of 2009. Don't forget that, everyone.
That's right. It's a new year.
And we want to have a good year. And when we think of a good year, we sometimes think of a profitable year or a happy year. But I'm glad that we can have some people from our different programs. We have our editor from a Studio Classroom magazine here today, Linda Ludwig. How are you, Linda?
I'm fine and I'm having fun.
Well, I hope you're having fun because it's a new year. And the name of our article is, Are We Having Fun Yet? Now, that seems like a very strange kind of an article, doesn't it, Hazel?
Well, maybe it does. But, sometimes when you're going somewhere and you're supposed to have fun, but you're not, you might ask someone that, are we having fun yet? Like, this is a little too serious or this is too much work. So that's an expression we use when maybe we're not having fun.
Right. If you go to a party and then somebody said, well, parties are supposed to be fun. Are we having fun yet? Well, that means you're not having much fun. But we're glad that Hazel could be with us because Hazel is one of the funny ones in our company. Isn't that right?
I would say so.
Really? Oh, thank you.
Well, Hazel is also a clown sometimes, but then clowns are supposed to be funny, right?
Yes, they are, and she definitely is.
But you think she's...
I've been her roommate. I know.
Well, is she funny sometimes when she's not wearing her clown outfit?
Come on, you're making me laugh already.
Just walk into her office.
It's funny, right? But, fun is something that people usually enjoy when they're not at work. You're supposed to have fun weekends.
That's right. Fun in the evenings and fun on the weekends. Most people look forward to their free time.
But you're not supposed to have fun at the office, are you?
No, that's why we're such a totally serious company.
That's right. The Studio Classroom is. And you'll notice by the pictures on pages 12, 13, and 14 of our Studio Classroom staff that they're very serious people.
Oh, they don't look too serious to me. It looks like they're starting to have fun.
I think so.
Well, the article is from one of the new books that's out, and we get the sound reviews, the summaries, the Sound View executive summaries. They're very good. They review all the new books. And this is a new book that's out. What's the name of the book?
It's called Why It Pays to Lighten Up the Levity Effect.
The Levity Effect. That's a very interesting name for a book.
Yeah, I think levity means to be lighthearted, to have fun. And so it says why it pays to lighten up, why it pays not to be so serious, but to expect to have fun.
Well, that's not what they tell you when you start to go to school. And the first thing you go to school, they tell you to be more serious sometimes when you're little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
The
they often
teachers
tell
are serious.
Yep, sit up straight. Don't smile.
Don't talk.
Don't talk.
Yeah. My mother often repeats a story. Her first day of school, the teacher was very clear and said, there will be no joking in this class. I'm the only one that will joke. And my mother said, yeah, you and me. And she said that's the way it was all year, just the two of them.
Oh, boy.
Really?
Well, she comes by naturally. Hazel's mother was one who liked to have fun, right? But it does pay to lighten up, but we'll have to find out more about it because we are going to do this review of this book. And we want to thank the Sound Book Summaries, the Soundview Executive Book Summaries, because they let us use their articles. This is a very good article. The Levity Effect on page 12, Why It Pays to Lighten Up. We'll find out more about it. So let's read the first two paragraphs.
Are we having fun yet? The levity effect. Why it pays to lighten up. We all know what we need from our jobs: a paycheck, benefits, challenging tasks, and a sense of purpose. the last thing anyone needs from work is a good laugh, right? Wrong, at least according to Adrian Gostick and Scott Christopher, co-authors of The Levity Effect, Why It Pays to Lighten Up. In their book, the authors maintain that an increasing body of research demonstrates that when leaders lighten up and create a fun workplace, there is a significant increase in the level of employee trust, creativity, and communication, leading to lower turnover, higher morale, and a stronger bottom line. And if that isn't enough, they write, the research also shows that managers who have taught themselves to be funnier are more effective communicators and better salespeople, have more engaged employees, earn a lot more than their peers, and are much thinner. Okay, maybe not the last one.
Well, I think this article is funny already, don't you, Hazel?
Sure, I think it is. Even when it says why it pays to lighten up, when it pays to do something, there are benefits. But of course, if you're talking about the workplace, it pays in a financial way as well.
Well, that's true. When you work someplace, of course, you expect to get paid for it because you do need money to live on. So what's the first thing that you need when you get a job? You need
a paycheck.
Right. So what am I going to get paid? And then, of course, you often might ask for benefits. What about housing or insurance and retirement? You know, you kind of expect a few benefits, don't you?
You sure do, but that's not all you want from a job. Sometimes you want challenging tasks. You really want a job so that you can feel good about your life, about what you do.
And you want to be able to grow with it as well. And to be challenged means that you're learning something new. Otherwise, it just becomes very mundane or kind of boring and the same.
So you need a sense of purpose. What are the goals of this company? You want to work for a company that not just says, oh, we're here to make money, but we're to help the environment, to help people. What do we try to do at Studio Classroom to help people?
We try to bring new information to people and help with education of new ideas and in English.
Okay, so that's our purpose, is to help people use English, not just know it, not just learn it, but to be able to use it in their lives, have better jobs and better lives because they know English. So that's part of our goals. But the last thing anybody needs from work is a good laugh. Isn't that right, Hazel?
Right. No. Actually, some people don't think about that, but when you get a job, you really don't expect it to be a lot of fun. At least you'd like it to be, but usually you expect it to be hard work and a serious job.
Well, now, some of you have worked here a long time. Hazel, you've worked here quite a while. And Linda has worked here, I don't know how many years now, but not as long as you have. Now, before you worked here, Linda, you worked at other jobs. And when you came to work at Studio Classroom, did you think you would have as much fun as you're having?
Wasn't really quite sure what to expect, but actually it has been very fun. I love my job. I love working here because it's really a fun place to work.
It's kind of nice to have a place that you enjoy going there because you don't know what's going to happen today. And sometimes it isn't always fun, but we can make it be fun by laughing about it.
That's right. I think it all comes with a person's attitude, don't you think?
Well, that's a big part of it. And I think with any job, you probably don't have fun every day. That's not easy. But it is good when you can think, oh, I enjoy my work, I enjoy what I do, and I do have fun.
Well,
Right.
you can actually have challenges every day. We don't know what kinds of things we'll come up against. They could be problems even. But if you lighten up, it pays to lighten up. Say, oh no, not another one of those problems. Oh well. And then you lighten up instead of saying, oh, what are we going to do? I don't know if we're going to make it. So if you lighten up, it's easier to work through the problems you face every day.
That's right. So I think it does kind of come down to attitude. And also, sometimes, we take ourselves too seriously. We feel like everything that we do is so serious. But it doesn't have to be that way. It really does help your attitude really to look on the light side, the brighter side of things.
Well, in a way, we have to be serious because sometimes if people aren't serious, they won't get their job done. So you have to be a little bit serious. Really? But if you make a mistake, then you don't just worry about it and you just say, well, I'll try to do better next time and lighten up on some of the things that could be bad things or wrong things. Let's try to overcome them, not repeat them. So if you lighten up again, you don't make everything so serious.
And I think we need to differentiate between lightening up and having fun and doing a good job. We're not saying that if you don't do a good job, it doesn't matter. What we're saying was that we don't just condemn ourselves when we make a mistake. We just need to learn from it and go on.
Well, this book will be an interesting book to read, actually, and it'll be on the bookshelves very soon. And it's Why It Pays to Lighten Up. And the authors in this book have something to say. What they maintain, or they keep this idea that an increasing body of research demonstrates something. I wonder if you know what an increasing body of research is.
I think a body of research is a collection of research. So it means that more than one project has been done, or more than one research project has been done. Lots of people have been doing research in this area and they put it together.
So lots of people have done research about the work environment. And they say that when leaders lighten up themselves and they create a fun workplace, that something happens. And what happens?
Well, good things happen. There's an increase in the level of employee trust, so employees trust the administrators more. There's more creativity in the workplace, and communication is better. And all those things together lead toward a lower turnover, less people come and go, especially the go part. There's higher morale. People feel happy and feel secure. And there's also a stronger bottom line.
Which means that actually it's profitable.
Mm-hmm. When we talk about the bottom line, we think of maybe an accounting sheet, and you add all those totals together, and what's on the bottom line means you've made money or you haven't. So a good bottom line, a stronger bottom line would mean you've made more money.
So not just the people that work there enjoy each other, but the leaders too. They need to lighten up too. And there's what they call a significant increase, means it's quite noticeable. Not just a little bit. Significant means quite a large amount, really. So then they create what they call a fun workplace. Now, there's a lot of ways you can do this. We'll be talking about them more, and you might think about ways you could do it in your office. But if you lighten up a little bit, and you can see by these pictures of the Studio Classroom offices that everybody lightens up. And this happens just about every day. We lighten up about something, don't we?
Right. This is definitely an office that likes to have fun.
If some guest comes and they would say, oh, here comes somebody, they might go get those purple pom-poms you see down in the picture of 13, stand at the elevator and say, hi, welcome. And everybody says, what's going on here, you know? It makes it a little more fun for everybody. Or Hazel might be teaching her dog tricks there. Sometimes he's on TV. And Hazel, you bring your dog to the office sometimes.
Once in a while, but there's another dog that comes more often.
Well, he's on the next page.
That will be your dog.
He's on the next page.
But there are a lot of things to do that even just a big smile and a friendly handshake can lighten things up. You know, sometimes we think, oh, this is a VIP, so important, and maybe we're so serious. But just to show that we're a friendly place is good.
And, of course, employees trust each other, and they have more creativity when they're not so worried that they might make a mistake. They're not so tense. And they also communicate better with each other because they're not afraid that they're not going to do the right thing. It just makes a more relaxed atmosphere.
I think when people are relaxed also, all of these items that they talk about in the article come out. You know, creativity can flow better when you're not so worried that you're going to do one little thing wrong. And a sense of communication among your coworkers also is very, very important.
Well, I think it's true that if people enjoy a place, they want to keep working there. Mm-hmm. Now, I would say at Studio Classroom, we certainly don't pay the highest salaries as commercial people pay. They're more like teacher salaries. So you think people would keep looking for new jobs. But we have people who've worked here for 10, 20, and 30 years. There's very much of a lower turnover. How long have you worked at Studio Classroom?
15 years now.
15 years.
About 3 or 4 years?
I'm not going to say how long I've worked here because I started, right. But we do have some people who have worked here 20 years, don't we? Different ones. And also there's a very good morale. People enjoy being together and smiling and laughing and talking to each other and saying, I'm not going to talk to her. High morale is very important in any office.
It certainly is. It makes a difference. It can make or break an office. Make or break means make it a good place to be, or it can make it a terrible place to be in this kind of situation, to make or break it. So a high morale is really I would encourage everybody to take a look around them in their offices and really see what the morale is like. It makes a big difference.
You look at the picture on page 13 in the right hand, that's part of our staff right there, and they look like they're kind of having a good time together, don't they?
They certainly do.
They do. I recognize some of those people.
I hope so, right? But if that's not enough, research also shows something else. It says that up on the next page. What else does research show us? It says managers what? That have taught themselves to be funnier? What are they like?
They are more effective communicators and better salespeople. So that means if you're a more effective communicator, it means you get your point and your ideas across. I think people are more willing to listen if you can say it in kind of more interesting, engaging way. And I often find that people who have a fun side to them are kind of funny, know how to communicate in that way, right? And Hazel is one of those people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good to know. If you're
I'm one of the serious ones.
Yeah, right.
Ours is pretty funny. We're all pretty funny in some ways, I think.
But, it's just if you have more engaged employees, in other words, they talk to each other more, they communicate better, they'll share ideas, and they'll get more creative things going because people talk to each other about things.
That's very important.
Yeah, and so is the last one. You can be much thinner if you learn to be funny.
That's my personal favorite.
I don't think that really works. Maybe not the last one. I think that was a funny joke right there.
Oh, okay. So even right now, the writer of this is trying to be a little bit humorous, as well. So you're reading this list and you think, "Wow, that's good. That's good, huh? I can become thinner." But actually, that's not true. They're joking.
I know this book is out in English. It'll probably be out in Chinese. And if your boss is a little bit serious, you might just give them a copy. Say, we talked about this in advance, and just give them a copy. I don't know whether they'll think it's funny or not. You better be careful.
Well, actually, I got to that line and went, oh, really? And then I read the next sentence.
And then you realized it was a joke. Well, let's finish reading the article, though, first, okay?
While Ghostic and Christopher may initially seem like a pair of jokers, when you consider that being a fun place to work is the criterion that sets Fortune's 100 best companies to work for apart from even their honorable mention colleagues, you realize these authors are onto something. In The Levity Effect, they argue their case by sharing real-life examples of how successful businesses, think Nike and Google, and top leaders, such as Jim Olson of the franchise Amy's Ice Cream, have harnessed the power of fun to transform their work environments into places where employees feel trusted and, in turn, are more committed, creative, and passionate.
So in this paragraph, we're reading about what sets Fortune's 100 best companies to work for apart from. To set apart from is an idiom. So what separates the 100 best companies even from the honorable mention colleagues? And it is levity, or having fun. And it says you realize these authors are onto something. What does onto something mean?
It means they have an idea, and the idea is a good one, or they're catching on, and we should too. So maybe you thought they were just a pair of jokers, these two people that co-wrote this book. A pair of jokers you might find in a deck of cards, right? You find two jokers, and those cards really, you can do without them. I guess that's why they're called jokers. You don't need them. They're extra cards. So
I think Hazel's trying to get off on a fun subject of playing cards now.
Anyway, well, that's what it says. They're not just a pair of jokers, but they really are serious. So even though they're talking about having fun and being humorous, they're really serious, and they're really on to something.
Right.
So they have a point then. You're on to something means you've got something very valid, very truthful.
Right. And we should take a look at this word in line 11, that being a fun place to work is the criterion. We have to be careful. We also have the word criteria. That's the plural, which means that there are many points that you should reference, but criterion means one. So the single criterion that sets Fortune's 100 best companies apart is the fun effect.
So that word is like requirement or something?
Well, the criteria are the things that they judge by, that they go by.
Right. So kind of a requirement or something that they're judging by.
Right.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that they vote for that makes a difference. Do you have fun at your job or not? If you don't, you may not become one of the best companies.
I think that's so interesting. That's one of that. It says it's the criterion, which means it's the single one thing that sets them apart from the other companies. Now, criteria, as Hazel said, remember, it's requirements. Usually when you apply for a job, there's criteria for what you need to be in order to apply for the job. So we're looking at plural, but here it's a singular one. It's amazing.
Yeah, that tells you in line 15 there about the levity effect. They argue their case by doing what?
Well, they share real-life examples of how successful businesses, like maybe Nike and Google, and top leaders such as Jim Olson and the franchise Amy's Ice Cream have harnessed the power of fun to transform their work environments. So it's giving us some examples now, and one way they prove or one way they demonstrate that levity is a good thing is by giving examples.
Right. We know that Google has started things like letting people bring their dogs to work. Well, Studio Classroom does that now and then. And also having a place for kids sometimes, or having a little place where they can sit around, talk to each other, being more casual. They do a lot of things that make it seem like it's not so heavy. They lighten up a bit.
Right. I think that's pretty important. Of course, Studio Classroom does some pretty fun things, too. We have birthday parties every month for the birthdays of that month, where we play games and have treats. We do a lot of things. Actually, there's even dancing in the hallways sometimes.
Well, you can
I hear singing in the hallways sometimes.
All the time.
Well, you can see the art department down there dressed up in their costumes. Sometimes we do little things when we get together in our staff meetings that make it more fun. And you never know what's going to happen at Studio Classroom when you walk in the door. Be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, even for the employees, be careful.
That's right. You have to lighten up, you know. But it does make a big difference because it says it transformed the work environment into a place where the employees feel trusted. They know that even if they do something, they're not going to say, well, why did you do that? They trust each other because they can make light of things. I think it's important that you let people feel trusted, don't you?
I totally agree. If you don't feel trust, then you really can't put your whole heart into doing something.
Well, Hazel, after people feel a little bit more trusted, what are they more apt to be like in their work and their job, your employees?
Well, in turn, or as a result, they're usually more committed and more creative. They have the freedom to be themselves and maybe more passionate about what they do.
Well, those are three very important things in a company. If you're not committed, then you won't stay there long, and you spend a lot of money on training somebody, and then they go someplace else. And it's really difficult to train new employees. So I think it's good to have committed, loyal employees.
I agree. And also for creativity, if you just feel like you have to do it a certain way, you don't dare go outside those boundaries, you lose a lot. So if we allow if employees feel they can be creative, then they really are free to try to develop in another area as well.
So those are some of the benefits if you can harness the power of fun. Mm-hmm. When you harness something, you kind of make it focus in one direction or have the results that you want it to. I think of a horse. A horse has a lot of energy, but that energy is wild and it's no benefit unless you put a harness on the horse, and then the harness allows for the horse to pull something or use that energy in a good way.
Has to keep it under control.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I know this is true like when teachers try to make their classrooms a little bit not quite so heavy, and when children have been taught, to be just not say anything, and then all of a sudden they can talk more, they get out of control. Then you have to harness it. And they can have fun, but sometimes they go too far. So you still have to harness it sometimes and have a certain amount. But it still has to be controlled, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And also, within those certain boundaries, then they can also learn to be very creative. But sometimes, even when you're raising children, you always have to set boundaries for them, too, so they know how far they can go. But it doesn't mean they can't be creative within that.
And I think this word passionate is very important because if people do their job quite well, but they don't have any passion for it, it usually shows. People who succeed, companies succeed, the people that work for them are passionate about their jobs. I think that's very important.
I agree. It's a very necessary, one of the necessary criteria to really succeed at a job. Otherwise, you aren't going to study or be concerned about it. You won't study further about it to see how you can improve it. It really makes a big difference.
That's true. I think it makes a big difference. Some people are just working, trying to get a paycheck. But if you can be committed and creative and passionate about your work, you'll have more fun and you'll know that your life has a purpose.
So check out your own company where you're working. Maybe you can help them to lighten up just a little bit, to have a good time. But we'll have another 2 days on this article. We can talk about different ways that this might be done and see if you can do your part to see that you enjoy being with the people you work with, that you trust them, you're committed and passionate, and, of course, have fun.
That's right.
Lighten up.
Yes, we couldn't work in a more lighter environment than here.
That's right. We like to laugh about things, and sometimes we joke and we say, no joking here, but then everybody just laughs because they know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
That is very true. Wait till we get to the next page and see the picture of the boss. Then we'll really know how serious
really a
this
frightening
is.
one, so be careful before you turn the page to the next page. Okay. But be sure and be back with us for 2 more days as we talk about this subject that has to do with a lot of us now who work in offices, who work for companies. We want to have a good time. We want to do a good job, but lighten up, right?
Yeah, lighten up. Have some fun.
Lighten up with Advance. So we'll see you in class tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.